Last time out for rounds 1 and 2, it was David Yunt, scoring both wins and taking a stranglehold in the point standings. But we move now to from Silverstone to Oulton Park, a very different challenge. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jason White. Welcome to rounds 3 and 4 of the 1973 F3 series from Oulton Park, the longer circuit, not the short circuit. Cars are warming up for the race. I'm joined in the booth by Jonatan Acerclinth. Jonatan, how you doing?
Pretty well. In terms of the day, it's been a bit of a shitty day with...
Welcome to family programming, folks.
Out on track here, but a bit of a shitty day with summer storm blowing through. But right now it's clear skies and had a good dinner, so all is good.
All right, well, let's take a look at the track map real quickly. This is Oulton Park. 2.761 miles around for this version. No chicanes, I believe. Would I be correct in that assumption? Okay.
That is very correct.
20 laps for this race, and there'll be 20 laps for the next heat following this one. Each of the heats is a little over 55 miles. The point standings, as we mentioned, there they are. David Yunt, having won the first two races, leads with 40 points. Austin Johnson is a little ways back with 25. Grant Riddall 1 point back from him with 24. His dad, Ray Riddall, with 19 points, and Juha Boss with 16. So we'll go through the grid as soon as we go into the race session. We have a few minutes left to go. 2 minutes to be exact. What do you expect from this round today, Jonatan? Where are you starting, first of all?
I'm starting 19th.
Okay.
About 30 seconds of the ultimate pace. What we'll probably see tonight is some very close racing. It's a bit of a roller coaster track, this. I know that Joachim Winkelhock actually likened this track to the Nordschleife in the way that it rolls about the countryside. So we'll see some great camera shots and undeniably probably a couple of incidents as well because of the nature of the track.
So yeah, the narrow nature of the track too, I think, will probably lead to more incidents because Silverstone, by comparison, was quite wide.
Yeah, I mean, Silverstone is in comparison a fully sized LAX airport. This one is more like your very small airport out in Africa or something, or just in like a clearing or something out in the countryside. But I'd say it's not really the narrow nature of the track. It's more of the way it rolls about, and it's up and downs, a lot of bumps, a lot of crests.
And adverse camber in some cases. It'll make the car do the opposite of what you'd like it to do.
Oh, of course, especially at Cascades, which is turn 3 on this track. A very long sweeping left-hander, which leans, of course, to the outside, as you say, and a place where many drivers have gone off, among them Rob Gravett, who's a BTCC champion but got caught out there.
Oh, well, while we have a moment here, just a few seconds to go, but I'll read our trivia question and we can reveal the answer at the end of the race. The trivia question for this race is, who scored the most wins in the 1973 John Player Formula 3 Championship? Was it A, Alan Jones, B, Tony Bryce, or C, Jacques Lafitte? We'll have the answer at the end of the race. Also coming up soon at HSO, we're going to be going on our August break, of course, but before that, we have the Molson Indy Toronto next Sunday. Street course, very tight and most of it flat, but going to be a really interesting race. 103 laps around Exhibition Place in Toronto. And then I believe the last race we'll have that's on the calendar before the break is British F3 rounds 5 through 6. And that should be at Mallory Park, I believe. We're going to the race session now. 20 laps. And I'm going to move forward to the pole position. Oh, no surprise. David Yunt's on the pole. He's making the most of that Alpine chassis. So we're going to wait for him to go to the grid, and then we will go through the grid for round 3 of this series. Looking for just the right view here. David Yunt is a perfect 2 for 2, as I mentioned. You can't get much better than that.
No, you certainly can't.
No.
Deary me.
He won 1 pole position, the other one was Cesarius. Okay, here we go. 27 cars, by the way, in this grid, so we're missing 1 out of the normal grid, I think. Well, actually, we had 30 before. Anyway, all right. On the pole, David Yunt in the first of the Alpines, car number 1. On the outside, Austin Johnson, Peter Bloor Racing, in a March. Third, Tiago Canola, Peter Bloor Racing, in another March. Fourth, Grant Riddall, in a Brian Henton fielded car, sponsored by Motorcraft STP. Fifth, Juha Boss, Nissan Racing. Sixth, Cesarius Lipinski. Seventh, Ray Riddall, in another March. Eighth, Alberto Aquino, Scuderia Italia. Ninth, Steve Parker, Acuria Antar Filippinetti. 10th, Jakob Fredriksson, another March. 11th, in a Martini, is Brian Janik. 12th, David Saber in the Chris Andrews March. 13th, Peter Blom, Dart Racing, GRD Limited. 14th, Matthias Estrella. 15th, Michael Griffiths. 16th, Mick Chapman. 17th, Gerard Rion. 18th, Lewis Stevens. 19th, Jonatan Acerclinth. Good luck, Jonathan.
Thank you.
20th, Gerard Mignano from Argentina. 21st, Gilles Lalonde. 22nd, Matos Mall. 23rd, Oyvind Anderson. 24th, Hansa Mild. 25th, Carol Markinizen, Hesketh Racing. 26th, Bruno Chacon. 27th, Greg Delicella. And that is the grid.
Actually, those at the back's a real disadvantage because they are starting down in their leap.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
That's also, by the way, for a bit of old life trivia for the track. Back in World War II, General Patton set up camp here, and heavyweight world champion of the world, Joe Louis, back in the day, actually did exhibition presentation matches down in that valley of the track, where the track now lays. But
are you referring to Detroit native Joe Louis?
Yes, I am. Sorry, I don't know exactly how you say that name, so that's why.
We pronounce the S in the States.
Oh, sorry. So Joe Louis was actually did.
Joe Louis.
Actually, yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
He actually did presentation matches down here where we are just passing by.
That's pretty sweet. I didn't know that Joe Louis was over there during the war. That's incredible. All right,
he was a private back then.
Oh, he was in the military. I see.
Yes.
All right. Interesting tidbit. Thank you, Jonathan. All right, so we're ready for the start of the race now. On the left of your screen, blue is David Yunt. On the dark blue is Austin Johnson, waiting for the lights. And the race is underway. Great start by David Yunt. But here, the number 22 car, that is, I believe, we don't have the tabs up yet, but David goes into a commanding lead right away, which I don't suppose we were really doubting would happen. Tiago is in second place, Austin Johnson in third, and Juha is in fourth. And we have Alberto Aquino's in fifth. I think that's probably his highest start in this series so far, if not his highest start. Well, he has qualified on pole in some other instances, but or second in the kart series, but this is probably the highest he's been in this particular series. Exiting the first left-hander, then the second left-hander, or right-hander, sorry. David Yunt heading now onto the long portion of the course before they get to the hairpin section.
Oh, we have at the back here, someone went off in Island Bend.
Oh, it is a Gilles Lalonde has gone off, but he is getting back on track. Does not appear to have any damage. That's good.
That's very fortunate for him in that area of the track.
Now on board with Tiago Canola as he follows our leader. This section is particularly quick here. Heading downhill now into the very last corner, which kind of dips as you run into it. And here come the cars into the last turn. They'll be coming onto the front straightaway. We'll give you a static view so you can see everybody. Johnson. There's Radal, Shlapinski. Shaplinski is getting by Aquino. Looks like everybody's doing okay. They're using the maximum road there as they come off of the final turn. There's Markinizin and Estrella. Tiago is now closing on David Yunt as they go into lap 2. Looks like he may be trying to set him up for a pass here.
Oh, almost 3 wide at the top of the hill here.
Oh, goodness.
For Chapman and company. Oh! Oh dear me. I think Chapman lost it round outside and came across the track here.
Oh, man. Lots of people smoking their tires. Remember that anytime you smoke the tires here, it's all kinds of momentum you're losing. Oh, goodness! A little bit of contact there. Oh, and we have one car spinning, and that is Karol Markinizin. But it appears it was just like really light contact, and he's going to continue on. Tiago continues to shadow David Yunt. And we have a race control penalty for Gilles Lalonde. Apparently, he might have cut the track somewhere. That's unfortunate for him, so the hits just keep on coming for the French-Canadian. Into the final turn. Yunt, Canola, Johnson, Boss. Then a little gap to Grant Radal, Shlapinski, Alberto Aquino, Fredrickson, Ray Radal. So the cars are kind of getting together almost 2 by 2. There's Lewis Stephens, number 33. Bruno Chacon, very close to Matos Mall. Mick Chapman going up the inside of Hansa Mild. Might not be able to get through there. And Tiago is right with David Yunt now as they start lap 3. The challenge, of course, for Tiago is he's got to pick the exact right point if he wants to overtake David, because if you make a mistake in these cars and lose momentum, it's very hard to get it back. And next thing he knows, he could be 3rd or 4th, depending on the severity of his mistake. You just don't have the luxury of goosing the power here because that power doesn't exist. As they come up the hill now, onto the shorter circuit, which should be emerging from the right here. There it is. Downshifting now for this right-hander that leads them up a hill. Johnson stretching his legs a little bit from Juha. Grant Radal continuing on with Shlapinski in the back, who had such an amazing qualifying effort in the first race at Silverstone. Did an excellent job. Aquino is currently in 7th place. Jakob Fredrickson. Oh, goodness! Brian Janik, I believe, just had had contact with Steve Parker. Let's have a look at this on replay.
Oh, Peter Blom is out as well.
Oh, no! We're watching a replay of an incident that just occurred between Steve Parker and Janik as they come down the hill. It looks like things just got a bit too close for comfort. Oh, yeah, no, actually, the incident, it came with, I believe that might have been Peter Blum. Let's take a look back.
Greg Dallacella, unfortunately, is out well.
Let's run this back one more time, see if we can pick up what happened. It's Parker that ran into another car here. We can't quite see who that is. It's number 9. There's no label on there. I'm not sure why that is. In any case...
it could be that the car, because it's retired.
Perhaps. But then, you see there, Janik gets right alongside of Parker, and there's some definite contact there. So, lots of nutty action so far here. Back to live action. Grant is currently running... we're looking at Steve running in 9th, and Janik is 10th. So apparently, the two of them didn't have too much of an issue. Canola still in second place behind David Yunt.
Oh, and there's a bit of a spin back here. Gerard Magnano has had a spin at Nicky Brook.
See if we can.
We have another off up at Mick Chapman is off.
Oh no! So here's what happened to Gerardo. Oh, it looks like he just broke a bit too late and went into the grass, but it appears he didn't hit any. Wow, he's very lucky there. He didn't hit any barriers. He just did a bunch of pirouettes in the grass, and he's back going again. Gilles Lalonde is in the pits, serving his penalty. Peter Blum, as you mentioned. Yes, it was Peter Blum that got hit in that skirmish between between Steve Parker and Brian Janik. And Greg Delchell's out of the race. Oyvind Anderson making a stop as well. Oh, goodness! Tiago Canola is definitely looking at Yunt, but you see the price that he paid for going out of line there, because here comes Austin Johnson looking to take a bid on second place. This suddenly has become a three-car battle for the lead, and is very, very close. Coming through the final turns, there's Gilles Lalonde has another drive-through penalty. I'm not sure what that's about. Maybe he sped on the way out. So this is not Gilles Lalonde's day. Coming out of the final turn, you can throw a blanket over the first three positions. Looks like Austin's going to try to make it, and he does. Austin gets by Tiago Canola into second place. Let's take a look at a replay of this from his point of view. Coming into the final turn here, it's probably a classic out-braking maneuver. Looks like he just has more of a roll along this straight here. He comes to the inside. Yeah, he just had flat more momentum and passes him on the outside. Fantastic stuff. And secures second place. Now he's setting his sights on David Yunt for the lead, but Canola's not falling too far back. Austin Johnson, of course, bowed out of the kart series. I think he was frustrated with the outcome of the Marlboro 500 and was like, that's it, I'm out of here. And I can understand that sentiment, because it's the kind of series when things are going right for you, it's really great, and when they go wrong in a big way. So I'm sure that he's happy with the fact that he's competitive here, and the racing is probably more to his liking as they come into this left-hander here. Heading down the hill. Oh, goodness! We have a car off the track. It's Juha Boss, and he impacts the wall. He might have some suspension damage from that, but let's look at a replay from on board. Let's see what precipitated this. He already has grass on his tires, so he might have had an off that we didn't see before. Coming through this section here, and it can get dicey up here. If you miss your braking zone up here, it's a very... Oh yeah, something happened there. He just smacked... Oh, goodness. I'm surprised he took that impact with the wall and didn't lose a wing. But it looks like he's trying to continue on. Hopefully his car isn't too damaged by that. He's in 8th place now as a result of that off. David Yunt still leads. Austin Johnson still second. Canola third. 4th is Grant Radal. 5th is Jakob Fredriksson. 6th is Little Al, and he is being hounded right now by Ray Radal. Interesting matchup here. Ray, a KG veteran, and Al, an upstart rookie, so to speak. And they're both closing on Jakob Fredriksson.
Lipinski is retired.
Oh, goodness. Lipinski not able to continue his... Oh, my goodness. Ray is getting very close to the back of Little Al. And as I said before, they're both closing on Fredriksson. So we'll see if there's a dice in the positions here. 7 laps are almost in the books here, or probably are by now, because Yunt is probably across the start-finish line. So we're going into lap number 8. Looks like things have calmed down just a little bit with this group. And things have calmed down a little bit at the front, too. So let's take a look further back in the field here, see what else is going on. Janik is in a solid 10th. Sabre is being hounded now by Michael Griffiths. And this is a battle for 11th place. See if Michael Griffiths can make any inroads here. Oh, Sabre runs wide. This could be Michael's opportunity. Oh, Sabre was able to maintain momentum there. Surprising. Stephens is running 13th. 14th is Matus Mall, and he is being pursued by Estrella. And then all by himself is Chacon in 16th place.
Oh,
And
almost all by himself.
Almost
I'm
all by
there.
himself, because there's Jonatan right behind him. Jonatan, get up there. Let's see if you can... Oh, there's a yellow flag up here.
Oh, someone has
Estre-
been off in this
Yeah, it's
cascade
Estrella.
here.
Estrella has spun, and he's
Oh,
trying to
that's
get top
two.
speed.
Lalonde is off as well, the further
Oh,
up.
my goodness. Yeah, Lalonde is off on the inside, so a bit of a slalom there for you, Jonathan, to keep you busy.
Busy enough.
Hansa Mild is now trying to capitalize on Estrella's mistake. This is a track that Estrella is quite familiar with because he's run it a lot in BTCC. There goes Hansa by, but Estrella is not going to take that line down. The two of them now wheel to wheel going into the next corner. Terrific stuff, albeit at the expense of Estrella and a mistake he made. Estrella is managing to hold on to 17th for now. Meanwhile, here's Jonatan looking on the outside of Chacon. Can't get it done there.
Almost ran into the back of him.
Well,
It slowed down a bit more than I expected, so that's my bad.
not everybody's braking zones are the same.
That's true. I'll get close to him again, I think, right out of here.
All right, give us a heads up when you do, Plizzy.
Well, I'm with him about now.
Well, I just paged all the way through the field again. Now I got to go back. Oh yeah, you are right with him. So this is the battle for 15th place. Was that braking zone what you expected that time? Oh goodness! There
That's
goes
exactly
Jonathan.
what I expected. He outbroke himself.
Up the inside. Jonathan looking for room. Oh! Goodness. These two cars are pretty evenly matched. They're the same car, right?
Not sure, but I'd expect it's about the same. I think he has a bit more engine in the car, though.
No, they're different chassis because I noticed the roll bars are different, but you're trying very hard to get up the inside there. I mean, great action.
I'm trying to get a run on him, but not working so far.
Fastest lap of the race by Austin Johnson just now, 1 minute 36.381. Johnny Ace is having another look on the outside here, but I doubt he's going to have a chance there. Let's see, they're going into this very, very fast right-hander, then uphill.
I'd expect Bruno's actually running a little bit less wing, I think. He can't go as quickly through that Nicky Brook right-hander as I can. He's a lot quicker down the straight. Should be able to get him this lap.
Well, we'll see. Into the final corner, starting... Oh! Looked like there was a little contact there.
Maybe. Again, he was a bit slower than I...
Meanwhile, we have a good battle going on between Alberto Aquino and Jakob Fredriksson. This is from the Chopper.
Oh, he's lost it.
Who, Bruno?
Yep, Bruno tried a bit too hard to stay ahead. Went too quick into cascades and the rear end broke on him.
Here's the replay. Well, pressure can be as good a tool as speed any day of the week. Let's take a look at this from Bruno's point of view. Looking over the back of the car. Acerclinth having a bit of a look. And yeah, he overcooked it going into the turn and spun around. That was a likely Also, Michael Griffiths looks like he's had it off at some point. And there's this scrap between Little Al and Jakob Fredriksson is still going on. Looks pretty good. But Fredriksson's Fredriksson did not just wander into here from the cornfields. He knows a thing or two about driving cars like these. And, oh, there's another yellow there. Looks like we have another car off somewhere. I'm not seeing it right now. But Aquino is definitely keeping pace. Another yellow flag. Not sure what that's for.
Could be someone trying to limp back with damage.
It might be Lalonde, but oh goodness! Austin Johnson has dropped all the way down to 4th place. Not sure what happened. Oh, here it is. He's in the kitty litter. This is a replay. I'm going to run this back, see if we can see what happened. That's interesting. It appears like he just lost it on his... It appears
Ray is out.
Oh, no. It appears that, yeah, Austin just lost it on his own. He broke too late and went into the kitty litter, and it's hard to get out of there. So that's why he's dropped down the order. And what happened to Ray Riddall? That's too bad. So, we're going into lap 12 now. So 8 laps to go. Little Al is right with Fredriksson now. This is a battle for 5th place. Running onto the drainage.
Oh, you have bosses
grading.
off in the gravel trap at Nickebrook.
Oh no. There he is. Yes. Oh, and he's lost a wheel, so that means he's probably out of the race. Let's look at a replay of this. He's been in the trap for some time now. This replay it's been a while, but we'll see what precipitated this problem. Okay, we're getting back to it now. This is the second off he's had in this. Okay, well,
I'd assume he ran in a little bit too hot. And the
he may have already lost that wheel somewhere else and was trying to get back to the pits, but nevertheless, he is most definitely going to be. He's still going. He's trying to. This is a live picture. He's trying to get back there, but he's already in 17th place. The race is effectively run, and he's pulling off the track. I think he's decided that it's probably not a. Well, he's still going, plowing his way through the grass, looking more like a riding mower than a Formula 3 car at this point.
Well, to give him credit to at least want to stay out of the way of everyone else.
He's doing the work of the grounds crew, so they don't have to maintain the grass, at least on this portion of the track, and only in one line. So Grant has now set the fastest lap of the race. So he's on the move. Oh, and Little Al has gotten past. See, we're getting all this action in replays because we're distracted by other things. Fredriksson runs a bit wide, and there goes Little Al by into 5th place. So taking advantage of other people's problems, OPP, and Al Aquino moves up into the top 5. So Johnson solidly in 4th. Grant is 3rd. Tiago back to 2nd now, thanks to the issues that Austin had. And David Yund is checked out. He's done an excellent job in this car. It's a car that probably, it's different from the other ones in that, I don't know if it's a matter of corner speed or top end speed, but definitely it's a different performing car than most of the other ones.
It's technically built by Renault, I think, so of course it'll be a tad bit different.
Oh well, if it's a French car, it's going to be different by default. I mean, that's just.
Of course.
Yeah. In other news, the sky is blue, and water is wet. So it looks like without any crazy stuff happening, it looks like the top 4 could be secured. And now Fredriksson has gotten back by Little Al again. So we'll see if, but he's right with him still. He's not going to give up this top 5 result if he can help it. Starting lap 14. And Little Al is using a lot more of the road than Fredrickson seems to. He may be running a lower wing setting than Fredrickson is. Fredrickson seems to have a better command in the corners.
Well, I actually know for a fact that Little Al is running at least 3 rear wing.
Oh, really? Okay, well, there goes my idea.
I don't know how high it actually goes on the BT-41, so
well,
I haven't tried. I had another issue with understeer because the wing was too high.
Well, Al is giving Fredrickson no rest at all. He really wants that 5th place back. And this is showing that Little Al's road racing skills are as good as his oval skills. At least relatively speaking. As he's coming up the outside now, Fredrickson. We'll see if he can get along. He is right alongside him now. Not necessarily in the right place for this corner, and he ducks back inside. So next time around, maybe he can try it on the other side and see if that'll work.
Most of it is the fact of actually setting the driver up. You may see it's a bad choice, but if he sets him up to get by him 3 corners later, then it's a brilliant move. So that's the way these cars work. Momentum is everything.
It is. So the front of the order remains the same. Little Al continues to follow Jakob Fredrickson. Steve Parker's in 7th. 8th is Brian Janik, so he's benefited from some of the retirements to get back up into the top 10. 9th is David Saber. 10th is Michael Griffiths. 11th, Matta Small. 12th is Lewis Stephens. 13th is Johnny Aces. 14th is Mick Chapman, who has a big dent in the front of his car. 15th, Hansa Mill. 16th. Go ahead, sorry.
Sorry, him and Riot had a coming together. Riot lost it in Shellsoil's corner, and Chapman had nowhere to go.
We just had Lewis Stephens off the track too, ahead of you here.
I think.
Behind you,
I think
actually.
he was. I think. Well, he was ahead at the time. I think he had a moment earlier, so his tires were a bit hot. I'd assume that's why he had that off.
So Fredrickson seems to have got himself a pretty decent cushion now between himself and Alberto, so he can focus on looking forward rather than backward. But, oh my goodness, Little Al definitely breaking later into the corners. Not willing to let this one go. He wants to see his name on the main page of the website in P5.
Who wouldn't?
Who wouldn't? Coming now onto the main straight here. We're starting lap 16. So we have 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20 to go.
This is also where the tires will start to go on everyone. Well, it may not seem like a long race, the tires take a beating because of how the track goes everywhere and nowhere. So if anyone haven't been looking after the tires, they will be starting that problem now.
Janik is trying to close on Saber for 8th place, but he's got a little ways to go before he gets up to him. And you've got Matta Small just in front of you here.
Yeah, and I think he's struggling a little bit with the tires. I haven't really improved my lap times, but he has dropped.
Let's have a ride on board right now with David Yunt and see how he's handling this circuit, because he seems to be doing it with considerable ease. At least if the time interval is any indication. He's got a solid 4 seconds on Tiago. That's pretty much stayed the same throughout the race. It's funny how calm the car seems, because the revs are much lower sounding than the other cars.
It may seem calm, but it's not calm behind the wheel, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, probably.
Especially in the very quick stuff, like Knickerbrook, it's always an adventure.
Johnson trying his best to salvage lost ground from the incident he had earlier. Fredrickson is pulling out a little more of an advantage on Little Al, so that's solidifying. Parker is in a very solid 7th place after his dust-up with Janik. And speaking of, Janik is now getting very close to David Saber, so we may see a pass for position here. Saber driving a March, and Brian Janik driving a Martini, I believe.
If it's green and yellow, then it'll be a Martini.
Well, this one's white
sure.
and red, so...
Oh, then it's a bit of a trickier one to call.
It's got a snout on it. Here he goes, past. He's going up the inside of David Saber, and he looks like he's going to go through and take 8th place. He does handily before they even get to the next corner. Very, very well done. Saber may be struggling with the tires at this point, but considering that Janik had some contact earlier, that's some really smart driving from him. Sharp-looking driving, at least. What do you think? Can you make it 11th before the race is over?
It'll be a close call, but I seem to be closing in by about half a second to a second a lap here, depending on who makes mistakes. So if I can keep it on a straight and narrow, then it's very possible I can at least have a chance. But as always, it's one thing catching a car; it's a completely different thing passing them.
Yep.
Especially when the performance difference is very small.
Oh goodness, there's Gerard off the track. He's down in 19th place, but he's a couple of laps off the pace.
I think that was just a get out of the way of the cars coming through.
Oh, I see. Looks like Little Al is starting to close again on Jakob Fredrickson, having a slight look there, just a peekaboo to say I'm here. But certainly closer than he was a lap or two ago. Johnson still 4th, Grant 3rd, Tiago 2nd, and our leader 2 laps to go now for David Yunt. Another dominating performance. So if he wins this one, he's going to have... we looked at the points before. Let's go back and look real quick. He's got 40 points now, and it's 20 points for a win. So he'll have 60 after this round, and then there's another race after that. So if he wins that one too, he could be looking at 80 points already. Perfect score. But he's at least going to be perfect if he wins this one to this point.
Well, David is one of those drivers, I think, that when the performance is similar and if the car is quick without having to do much on the setup, it will be quick. It's that simple. A bit like now I can't remember the name of the driver.
Well, you focus on driving.
Jeppe Campmayo is the name I was looking for.
Oh yeah.
He was also one of those that didn't really matter what car it was, as long as he knew how to set it up or didn't need set up, then it was quick.
Oh, and Little Al is right with Jakob Fredrickson now on the outside, but again, this is the wrong place to be. See if he can sweep back to the inside. No, but these guys are definitely going to be going tooth and nail right to the very finish. This is great racing from these two. Little Al has obviously been taking some good points from his dad, who, by the way, won the Marlboro 500 last week.
With a fantastic drive.
And so appropriate that our oval guru be the one to win a 500-miler. Into the final corner here. We're going forward now to take a look at the... this is David Yunt. He is now on his final lap of this third round of the 1973 British Formula 3 Series. And he's got a good lead now. Well, it's come down a little bit, actually. It's only 2 seconds between himself and Canola, but I would wager that David will be able to hold that gap to the end. He's probably just been taking it a little easier.
I'll get one lap at getting past him here in the time. Oh,
coming onto the backside of the course now. Of course, there's a separate qualifying run that is going to be done for the round that comes after this one. So we'll see if David can put the car on the pole again. Reasonable to believe that he could, but you never know. We'll see. Schlapinski surprised everybody with that pole in Silverstone. Into the final corner, David Yunt in the Alpine exits the last corner, goes up the hill, and David Yunt is going to make it 3 for 3. And he wins the first of 2 rounds here at Oulton Park. Very, very dominating performance. Second will go to Tiago Canola. Third will go to Grant Riddall. Fourth, Austin Johnson after an off that he had earlier. And here comes the battle between Fredriksson and Little Al. It looks like it's going to be Fredriksson taking that position. Little Al trying really hard right to the finish. But he's going to be in 6th. 7th is going to be Parker, and he wasn't that far back from that group at the end. 8th place, it appears, will be Brian Janik, who's now put a decent gap between himself and David Saber, who will be finishing in 9th place. 10th, Michael Griffiths. So, providing he crosses the line, that will be the last points-paying position, as the top 10 score points here. Karol Markinizin coming across the line with no rear wing. Looks like he's a Formula Ford racer. So that was the, oh goodness. Some people know how to party when the race is over. They turn the cars over and basically pretend it's like a Who destruction climax. So now that where did you end up, Jonathan?
I ended up 12th, so good finish considering where I was earlier in the race. But yeah, could possibly have been one position higher here.
All right. Well, if you're ready for the trivia question, here's the trivia question we asked earlier. Who scored the most wins in the 1973 John Player Formula 3 Championship? Is it A, Alan Jones, B, Tony Bryce, or C, Jacques Lafitte? What do you think?
Considering the way it usually works, I'm guessing Jacques Lafitte.
Nope, I'm sorry. The correct answer was Alan Jones with 3 wins.
Oh, so it was actually one who actually succeeded very well in F1 that won for the most wins.
Well, yeah, F3. Well, Jacques Lafitte won races too in Formula 1. What do you mean? You're there are plenty of people who did well in F3 and also in F1.
It's just in my memory, the very short span memory I have, it's usually those who wins the lower classes usually struggles when they get to F1. Those who don't win as much but have a more consistent driving or something actually succeeds better in F1 later. So
don't remind me to take you to Vegas sometime to play the ponies or 21. All right. Well, that was the first race. We're going to take a break here. We'll be right back with the following race, probably in about 20 minutes or so. So hang tight. We'll see you in a bit. Welcome back, everybody. We've just completed the second qualifying session, and David Yunt will be on the pole for this next heat, followed by Tiago Canola, Austin Johnson, Cesarius Lipinski, and Juha Boss in the top 5. We're joined again by Jonatan Acerclinth, so it looks like with David Yunt on the pole again, he has a good opportunity to make his perfect season continue.
Certainly is. I have no idea really who will be able to touch him. I mean, he had Thiago and I believe it was Austin up there hunting him somewhat, but I mean, they weren't really close enough to be putting him under much pressure. So he's definitely doing a great job at the moment.
All right, so before we go to the next race, I mean, we got the warm-up session, which I'm guessing is probably only going to go 5 minutes this time.
I'd assume so, yes.
All right, well, let's have a look at the second of our 2 trivia questions. It is, who scored the most points in the 1973 John Player F3 Championship without a win? Was it A, Ian Taylor, B, Mike Wilds, or C, Brian Henton? We'll give you the answer following this race. Coming up next Sunday at HSO, the Indy cars return to battle it out on the streets of Toronto. It's the Molson Indy Toronto. Round 8 of 15, Sunday, July 24th, 2000 CET is when official practice begins. IndyCar racing at HSO, it is fantastic. And then we have the next couple of rounds in this series, rounds 5 and 6, on September 1st. That is, of course, after our month-long break. The International John Player Championship car races from Mallory Park. Let's look at what's coming up soon at HSO.
While this is a tricky track to drive, we are saved a little bit by these cars, but Toronto for the Indy cars will be one hell of a street race.
I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of dive bombing silliness at the hairpin.
Very much possible. I mean, we see that in the real life counterparts, so for sure we will probably see a few of those tries there, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see 1 or 2 into the last complex.
Well, perhaps. Prince's Gates, I think, is the other place where you can overtake pretty good.
You're probably right. I mean, to be fair, if you get a run, you can probably pass anywhere around that track. If you're brave enough and you have a little bit of help from the guy you're trying to pass.
Well, the other problem is that there's like almost zero room if you make a mistake there. There are some runoff areas, but they're few and far between.
Very much like racing when we did F191, we were at was it Phoenix? I think it's the opening.
Maybe.
I think it's the opening race. It's also a street track, and I mean, apart from, I think there's 2 actual runoffs. The rest is just a concrete canyon. Soon we'll see about as much trouble there as we saw there.
Quite possibly.
I think we had 9 cars finish that race in the F191 championship.
F191?
Yeah, at Phoenix. I think we had 9 cars finish that race.
I see.
Out of 26 or 28 starters. Where someone just came past warming up the brakes by the sounds of things. Just came down the start-finish straight there and was just... I think he was on full throttle and locking up front tires.
Oh goodness, here's a really good scrap. Whoa! Sabre gets all out of order. And Canola's following Peter Blom right now. Peter didn't have that good of a first race. Hopefully he can find a way to rebound in the second race here.
Well, he qualified well. I think he qualified 12th, so in a decent position to try and do. That said, I think the GRD is a bit of a struggle car around here.
Why would that be?
Not sure, but me and the Brabham and I think a slightly slower engine out qualified him here, so I'd assume the GRD is a bit of a tricky car to drive. I say that knowing that Peter Blom won the BTCC championship just last week, so or actually even earlier this week. So congratulations to Peter for winning that championship.
Yeah, you were right there with him.
Knowing how
right?
good a driver he is, I'd expect him to do better, but I'd assume it's the GRD causing a bit of havoc.
Well, you were with him right to the end there, and you won the last two races. So
Yeah, clean swept the last race weekend. I took 2 poles, 2 fastest laps, and 2 race wins, but unfortunately Peter was a bit too far ahead. That for my 2 wins to help there, so he was definitely worth the win. He finished all but 1 race, so that's how you win championships.
yep, consistency wins championships. That's for sure. Oh! As we say that, Peter does a nice tidy spin.
As I said, I think that's the GRD being a bit of a tricky car to drive.
No.
Well, that said, Grant is up in I think qualified 6th for this race, so car can be driven quick, but we'll assume it's a bit of a tricky car.
All right, so 4 minutes to go now on the clock. I guess we're going the full 10 minutes. This is another 20-lap race around Oulton Park.
And hold on to your hats now that everyone has found a little bit more groove. I think we will see even closer racing.
Yeah, the interesting bit to me is I wish I was a fly on the wall in the garage area because obviously some people are going to find it beneficial to make changes between last race and this one based on information that they learned in the first race.
Indeed, if they found that what they found was troublesome, they will of course have made changes.
Like if the wing setting wasn't quite right.
Indeed.
Running by yourself on the server is not the same as running in traffic, even with cars as underpowered as these.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think the general situation for most people is: do you run a middle ground wing or do you run a high wing? I don't think after race 1 anyone who ran in traffic and we will run with a low wing. Very hairy situation. It was just like in kart and other downforce package series, you will lose a bit of grip from either wing as you run in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how on edge you have to drive these cars to be quick. As soon as you lose too much of that either end, you will have a moment. There's also, of course, the tire situation. Even though I don't feel like I pushed too hard, but even my tires were feeling a little bit wonky towards the end. So,
well, they're worked a lot harder here than they would have been worked at Silverstone. So I think it's relative for everybody.
you're probably right about that.
Even a broken watch is right twice a day. So $1:30 to go here before we start race number 2 in this docket. round 4 of the series. As we've already mentioned, round 5 and 6 will be at Mallory Park.
Talk about a
And,
Mickey Mouse track.
Yeah, on September 1st.
If people feel this track is tight, they will get a surprise at Mallory. Say that much. Bit like a referee friend of mine went to a hall where he hadn't been, a indoor playing field hall, hadn't been before, with my colleague, and as soon as he stepped into the hall and looked around, he said, "I can't believe they're allowed play Division 3 floorball here." Because I think in that particular one it's like 6 meters on all dimensions. That it's smaller than what the official size
User
is
joined
for
your channel.
playing the game.
Well, you can't play floorball on a non-regulation court. What are they thinking?
Well, you can if the nearest other hall is like
User disconnected from your
it's
channel.
like 10. Is that 100 kilometers away? Not 100 kilometers. Yeah, let's see.
So
50
it's
kilometers away.
So it's like baseball. You can screw with the dimensions in the outfield.
Technically, yes, if there is no other option. Then the hall was built before the regulations came out, so the hall,
it's grandfathered
hall
in.
itself is limiting the size. Bit like the regulations, I think, came out in the late 70s. That hall specifically was built in 55.
Man. All right. Whatever. Okay, we're going to the race session now. As I mentioned, it's another pole position for David Yunt. They don't give extra points for poles here, or most laps led like they do in the CART series, as the Canadians would say, CART.
But
So, all right. So we're waiting for the cars to come on the grid now, and we'll run through the grid again. I believe we have 29 cars this time. So a few people showed that weren't here previously. Come on, David, get out there.
I think those are Adam Hackman. I don't think raced last time out, and I think I saw someone else. I can't remember who now.
The man with the hack. Okay. All right, we're ready to go on the parade lap now. On the pole is David Yunt once again. Second, Tiago Canola. So it's the same front row we had before. Well, no, wait, it's not the same front row because Austin was there before. Austin is third now. Fourth is Cesarius Lipinski. Fifth, Juha Boss. Sixth, Grant Radal. Seventh, Jakob Fredriksson. Eighth, Ray Radal. Ninth, Steve Parker. 10th, Little Al. 11th, Jonatan Acerclinth. That's a big climb from previously. Hopefully you'll score some points. 12th is Peter Blom.
That's the aim, but I need to get to the starting grid
13th
first.
is Pascal Mikkola making a rare appearance this year. 14th is Brian Janik. 15th, David Saber. 16th, Michael Griffiths. 17th, Gerard Rion. 18th, Nick Chapman. 19th, Lewis Stevens. 20th, Gerardo Magnano, scrubbing those tires in. 21st, Adam Hackman. 22nd, Oyvind Anderson. I don't believe he was in the first race either.
He was.
Oh, he was? Okay. 23rd, Gilles Lalonde. 24th, Kara Markinisen. 25th, Matos Mall. 26th, Hansa Mild. 27th, Matthias Estrella. 28th, Greg Delicella. And rounding out the field is Bruno Chacon. Coming down to stage the cars once again. Be very critical for Tiago to get an excellent start here if he's going to have any hope of challenging David for the race win. And if you're in the cockpit of Austin Johnson's car, I'm sure he's thinking about keeping a slightly cooler head this time. He's definitely quick, there's no question about it. It's simply a matter of capitalizing maybe on a mistake by someone in front. But the way David Yunt is driving, it's hard to imagine him making any mistakes. All right, so the car's...
And so, just a quick sorry to Peter if he's listening in. That was my bad. The grass.
Oh.
A little bit of contact between us, unfortunately.
Oh, well. Well, in any case, cars are staging now in their grid slots. David Yunt on the pole. And directly to his left and our right is Tiago Canola. Waiting for the final cars to go into position. We're under starter's orders now. Rebs climbing, stand by. And the race is underway. Another excellent getaway by David Yunt. Tiago Canola slips in behind him, and Austin Johnson's third. Cesare Lipinski is fourth. It looks like Juha Boss is getting a challenge from Grant Riddall. Oh, there might have been some contact there.
Oh, and there's contact behind.
Oh, no.
Pascal.
Oh, my goodness. There's bunches. Well, there's signs flying, and I can't quite... Oh, there's more contact. Cars going into the barriers. Oh, my goodness. This is definitely not as good of a start as last time. Let's see a replay here of what happened. It's Steve Parker with Pascal Mikola behind him.
I think Peter Blom ahead made a mistake.
I just saw it there. It was Peter Blum. Oh my goodness, Peter has another difficult situation. And he runs into the side of Steve Parker, or Steve Parker runs into the side of him. Steve spins out back into the traffic and was very lucky not to get clipped by anybody. Oh, well there that was Parker there gets clipped right by, I believe that was Mikola. Yes, so actually that was Mikola being the unlucky party there. My goodness, what a difficult set of circumstances. So Steve's out of the race. Or was it Matos Mall? We got other cars scrambling here. Gerardo Magnano, Delacello 26th, Chacon 25th. My goodness. No, it was not Mikola. It was somebody else that ran into Steve's car. Mikola is continuing, and he's in 11th place. Fredrickson now challenging Ray Riddall for 7th place. This is probably one of the closest battles on the track right now. Oh, and little Al is right in this group too, and he's back up with Fredrickson again. Fredrickson's going to have that white car burned into his retinas after this weekend is over. But this time, and looks like Ray Riddall might be holding this group up, because not only is Fredrickson and Aquino joining them, but so is Peter Blum. So Peter actually pretty lucky to get out of that situation without any trouble. It was Steve who was on the wrong end of that situation. Lipinski 5th, Grant Riddall 4th, Austin is in 3rd, closing on Tiago Canola, who is still behind David Yunt in the lead. Oh, we have a yellow flag here. Not sure what that's about. Let's have a look here in front of us. Well, we didn't see it. It's like perhaps somebody off the track. David Yunt, Canola, Johnson, Grant Riddall, Lipinski, Boss, Ray Riddall, Fredrickson. Fastest lap of the race by David Yunt so far. No surprise there. Juha looking to close in here on Cesarius. That excellent start by Grant. From the start, he was able to get by Juha. So, and Cesarius got by Juha as well. So, or wait, no, he would have been ahead of Juha at the start. So, it's Grant who's doing all the climbing of the ladder here. And then we got this fantastic scrap still developing
Oh.
between...
Oh dear,
man.
oh dear, oh dear.
Getting very close here between...
Oh, hey.
As we see Jonatan in 14th place.
Yeah, we just went too wide for island turn here.
Well, just trying to fend off Michael Griffiths, who is being followed also by, I believe, it's Gerard Rion. And here's Brian Janet going up the inside of Pascal Mikkel, and it moves Brian Janet into 11th place, Pascal down to 12th, and Pascal is now being challenged by David Saber, who's driving a March. Al Aquino is past Peter Blum and is into 9th place now. Closing in on Ray Riddall, who looks like he's getting ready to put a challenge on Jakob Fredriksson. Coming down the hill now, but Al Aquino is right with them. This has the potential to be a very combustible situation here, Jonathan. These four...
and Pascal Mikkel just had a spin as well.
Oh, no. Let's have a look at a replay of this. Pascal, again, has not been driving much this year, so we cannot expect him to... we can expect his racecraft to be just a bit rusty, I would think. Yeah, he lets the back end get away from him. Oh, he wasn't even on the grass there. But yeah, David Saber is going to change his underwear after this race. He just barely managed to get by. Oh,
Alberto Juni has had a spin as well. Oh, don't choose that side.
Oh, goodness. Cars off the road. Around,
that was me avoiding hitting Alberto.
Oh, my goodness. And yeah, here's Little Al right in front of you. So Little Al's had an off. Oh, my goodness. The four of you are all together. Be careful, please, coming down to this corner. Pascal's in there as well. My goodness, Jonathan, you're being boxed in by these guys. Michael Griffiths runs onto the grass, and he's going to check out of this battle, unfortunately.
Yeah, I had to back out. I didn't want to risk hitting.
There's contact there between those two cars. Griffiths and Adam Hackman. Griffiths on the outside trying to defend his position. My goodness, it's insane back here. Glad I'm in the broadcast booth, not in the car in this case. I don't know if I'd enjoy this. Gerard Rion closing up now on Pascal Mikkel, it looks like. Coming up the inside, Pascal turning into the corner. Doesn't leave Gerard that much room. Yeah, unfortunately, that incident probably will preclude Little Al from another top 5 performance. Unless
well, he definitely have some pace, so
yeah,
he may be able to catch up to at least the top 10.
Peter, meanwhile, is trying to get back close to Ray Riddall again. This, so what was a 4-car battle now, it's kind of calmed down a bit. We're riding with Pascal now as he's closing on you, Jonathan. Look out.
I think he's in the same car as Michael Griffiths, and those are very slippery, so I don't have much of a chance of holding on, but that's a bit aggressive, Pascal. That's no need for that.
Slapinski has pulled out a little bit of a gap between himself and Juha Boss, so he's having a pretty decent race so far. 5th place. Grant Riddall is 4th after his excellent start. And we have one, oh goodness, Thiago now is right with David Yunt. So there is a possibility something may happen here. I mean, this is the closest he's been from the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, and Pascal just span coming out of the first corner.
My goodness. 9/10 now separates Thiago from the... Well, no, it's not even that. It's like 2/10. And 4/10 back from Tiago is Austin. So this is far closer a situation than we had in the first race of this docket. Tiago tucked up behind David, but I doubt he's going to make a move here. They come into this fast right-hander, very close to the edge of adhesion. And then you've got Austin watching points right behind them, waiting for something to transpire. Knows that getting wedged in between these two will simply mean that he's caught between David Yunt and Tiago Canola. I think Austin is in the tactically superior spot right now. He's just going to wait to see what happens.
I think Brian Yannick or David Saber may have had a bit of a spin. Like Yannick.
Well, Blom is getting a lot closer here to Ray Radal, looking for a way by. He's right behind his gearbox. But Ray is doing an excellent job in that march. Here's Al Aquino and Brian Janik together, so I don't believe it was Janik who spun. If it was...
I think Brian was further up the road than that earlier, but I may be wrong.
Perhaps. All right, you're looking at the battle for the lead right now between Tiago Canola on the left side in the white car, and in the blue and red car, David Yunt. And I know we've made jokes about this from time to time, but it has literally been the David Yunt show so far. Nobody can argue that. The statistics prove it. And Tiago is going to see if he can preempt that show. And he's doing an excellent job of staying with him. If he can just manage to get around him. But it looks to me like if Tiago's going to get around him, he's going to have to find more pace, or he's going to have to rely on David making a mistake, and the latter certainly seems unlikely. David is one of the drivers we have at HSO who is not fazed by pressure in the slightest. At least I don't remember a situation where he's been fazed by pressure. So...
long and far between the times.
Yes. So... I think it's fair to say that Tiago's going to have to dig deep here and find a way to get by. Although it's easy to forget that David Yunt gave away a bit of time at the end of the last race. Maybe it was just him cooling his tires and realizing that he had the race in hand and he was just backing off. But Tiago did manage to close a bit towards the end of that race, so maybe that's some indication that he's better at protecting his car over the course of a race. I don't know. That's just pure speculation. Fredrickson solidly in 7th, and Ray Radal in 8th. David Saber in 9th, and Gilles Lalonde is running in... well, he was actually a lap car. 9th is David Saber, 10th Aquino. Brian Janik is 11th. You're right, Pascal Michel is all the way down to 16th place. Fastest lap of the race so far by David Yunt, 1 minute 36.108. That's considerably faster, I think, than the fastest lap in the previous race at this point. Austin Johnson off the track for a moment. Didn't lose too much ground. But Schlepinski and Grant Radal are going to have to be very careful, because it looks like they're both driving on the limit.
And someone just off in the Knickerbrook Italitter again.
Oh my goodness, Jonathan, it appears you've lost your wing.
Yeah, I had a bit of a moment through Old Hall. On the exit I was stationary and don't know if the car behind didn't respect the yellow or if he couldn't see me, there were a group of cars, so... Fortunate, but hopefully the crew can at least repair it so I can finish the race.
Yeah, keep those finishing stats up.
Please try. But
Meanwhile,
if the car handles like it is right now, I won't be finishing.
well, meanwhile, Mick Chapman and Lewis Stevens are having a pretty decent scrap here. This is a battle for 17th place as Mick Chapman goes alongside and goes up to... almost had a bit of a... and this is interesting. Tiago Canola now sets the fastest lap of the race, 1 minute 35.910. So he is definitely responding to David Yunt's challenge, or his lead, trying to close him down, and he is definitely staying with him. The gap is only 0.4 of a second between first and second. The gap has increased between Tiago and Austin Johnson, and that's probably due to the fact that Austin ran off the road earlier. The gap is 2.6 seconds, and it's another 1 second back to Grant Riddall.
I think it's a case of the draft. Even though we don't have that many straights, in the few straights you have, if the draft is strong enough, you will be able to stay with the car.
Tiago has definitely got a roll on David Yunt here. He goes to the outside, but not really the best place to overtake there. They're coming up the hill now.
He'll have a chance into Lodge.
He's coming up alongside now on the outside. This is the wrong place to be doing that, but my goodness, definitely showing he's got the pace to stay with David Yunt. Another right-hander now at the end of the hill here where they were going to be the downhill section where they're going to be going into the next lap. This is the end of lap 10. Coming to the outside, going for the cutback. And man, that didn't work out the way he wanted to, I don't think. He lost a great deal of time in the process.
I think he decided to brake a little bit too early. Decided on that a little bit too early. He should have broke earlier and went for the early apex by letting David run a bit deep in there, but it didn't quite work for him.
Well, that was the halfway point of the race, so if you're Tiago, it may be tempting to cool your tires and make another run at it, but if you give too much to David Yunt, he might just run away from you.
I think the heat on the tires shouldn't be too much of an issue. He didn't really make a sliding motion in that passing attempt, so he should be able to get right up there as long as he didn't lose the draft, but I think he should be close enough here.
Well, he's picking it up again. Slipstream. Gearing is very critical in this uphill section too. If your gearing is too tall, it can cost you some speed. We'll see how he does going into this right-hander, how much momentum he's able to keep. He goes right on the curb, down to the inside, maintaining as much of that momentum as he can. Now they're going up the hill.
We should have a good opportunity into Lodge this time around if he just gets some good druids here.
David's doing a really good job of defending his position here.
Actually parking the car. That bad because I'm riding on board with Tiago at the moment and he actually had to change down an extra gear for that corner.
Well, Tiago took a much more conservative line through the last corner there just so he could stay with David, so... David seems to have better acceleration in this section.
I think it's a difference in the compromise they decide to do. I think David has a bit of a compromise going down the back straight, but Tiago, of course, has a bit of a compromise coming out of the last corner instead. I assume that's the case at least.
We saw briefly a flash of a penalty of some kind there. Not sure who that was for.
That was me. I forgot about the pit speed limit.
Oh, jeez. Well, Tiago hanging tough behind David Yunt here. David Yunt is able to just float that car beautifully through the corners. He makes it look so easy.
It definitely isn't.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not. Now David pulls out a little bit of an advantage here, but again, like you were pointing out earlier, this is that part of the track seems to be where he's quickest. Tiago's quicker on the backside, which if he's trying to make a last lap run would seem to be advantageous to him.
Again, sorry to Peter. Was a side I didn't expect him to.
Looks like Schlepinski is closing in on Grant Radal. That could be developing into a race of some kind before the end of the end of this event. And as hard as these two are driving, Tiago and David Yunt, you don't see much tire smoke from either of them. They're able to keep their cars well under control, even though they're driving at the absolute limit. So 7 laps to go this time by.
Situation update in the Brabham Ulf Svensson camp. We have a bent track rod on the rear left.
Oh my goodness. Well, I guess you're going for statistics then. Oh, drive-through penalty for Gerard Rion.
He was in the pits repairing as well, I think. I would expect he may have been one who hit me. Fortunately. At least he was in the pits, so I don't know if he had another issue or what, but yeah, he was in the repairing. Fairly sure.
Hansa Mild is in the pits right now. And looks like David has solidified the gap between himself and Canola. It's about 0.7 of a second now. Johnson, I guess, at this point, content to take third, although the battle that's developing now is, like I said earlier, for 4th place between Schlepinski and Grant Radal. This could prove to be an interesting one. Schlepinski, the first pole sitter of this series.
Was surprised with that, and I'd expect him to be a bit surprised, but also very happy to be up fighting for the top 5 finish here. Well, he struggled a little bit in BTCC, but these cars definitely seem to suit him a lot better.
Yeah, I'd say so. He was fast in BTCC, but I don't think he was ever, at least judging by watching him when I was driving, he didn't seem to be all that comfy in the Nissan.
Bit of a peculiar car in the way that it lacks a bit of power and a few ponies, so to speak. So you need to attack the corners a lot more to actually get the speed out of it on the track, and in a racing situation that's a little bit tricky.
Well, he's definitely closing in on Grant Radal right now. That green car is getting bigger and bigger on our screen. So it's going to be more of a question of not is he going to catch him, but when's he going to get by him? Does he have the space, and where's it going to happen? Grant Radal seems to do better than him under braking in some sections. Oh, goodness. And Tiago's lost a pretty decent amount of time now to David. He's now 1.3 seconds behind. So I don't know
think
if that's
I think he may have had a moment in
Must
Nicky
have.
Brook.
He must have, because that's quite a significant drop. He was 7/10 before, so it's like double. There's a car off the track. It's Jonatan, I believe.
Yep. Again, the track road is making it a little bit key, and I tried to get out of the way early, and the car overtook me.
Schlapinski gap actually expanding a bit between himself and Yuha is hoping probably to be able to join this fight in a lap or two. Grant letting the car really hang out on the slow corners. I don't know if that's, visually it appears that might be where Schlapinski is gaining some time.
Yeah, and I think it's a question of do you prefer to run high wing or middle wing, which makes that difference. Well as, of course, as you mentioned earlier, probably the gearing as well.
Well, looks like it's going to be another victory for David, if nothing changes going into the final laps here.
Certainly consistent enough.
Yeah, everybody's pretty spread out at this point. The closest battle at this point is between Little Al and Brian Janik for 9th place. Saber is 11th. 12th is Peter Blum. 13th, Adam Hackman. 14th, Mikola. So he's gained back a little bit of time. 15th, Michael Griffiths. 16th is Lewis Stevens being hounded by Mick Chapman. This is actually a pretty good battle. We'll stay with this for a moment. Oh man, well, that didn't quite work. Mick is definitely trying to find a way by Lewis Stevens. Let's look at that again in a replay. Mick down the outside and then brakes probably a bit too late, and that allows Lewis to get back by. Not a points-paying position, but still exciting stuff. David Yunda's got 2 laps to go now.
That's the way it is here at HSO. It doesn't matter where in the field you are, as long as you're somewhat consistent, you will also have someone to race with. So, in essence, as long as you don't crash the car or something, you will have someone to race with.
Looks like Little L probably gonna. Oh no! Little L spins around. Oh, go no! Brian Janik runs into Little Al, loses his wing, gains a position, but now he's driving with no downforce in the front of the car. Estrella gets by, but he's a lap down, so now Janik's going to have to try to finish the race with no front wing. My goodness.
It's that for him, and we don't know what kind of damage there is for
Carol Martinez.
either.
Here's the replay of the incident. Poor Brian, basically had nowhere to go, coming off the corner and clips a spun and derelict Al Aquino. So he's going to have...
Sounds like pretty much what happened in turn 1 with me. So it's one of those places where you can't really see till you actually get to a bit past the apex of the corner, really.
Well, it appears that Brian...
tricky to know where to go.
Brian's got one more lap to go. He may actually... Aquino
I don't think he'll pit for it with that.
No, not now, but the point I would make is that Little Al is still in 10th behind him, despite what happened there. So, the question will be, will he be able to catch Brian?
Difficult to say, but there aren't that many really high-speed corners here, so I think Brian may actually be okay.
So David is on the final lap once again. Tiago putting a lap on Carol Martinez, but at this point it's pretty academic. David has literally grabbed this championship by the throat. To say anything other than that would not be doing justice to his performance. He has been, quite frankly, flawless through 4 rounds. And it's pretty clear that if anybody is going to challenge him for this championship, they're going to have to find a way to be faster. We've got different races coming up. You said Mallory Park is a much more Mickey Mouse type track. We'll have to see if that makes a difference. David Yunt exiting the final turn now, heading for the checkered flag, and number 4, win number 4 out of 4 for David Yunt. He wins round 4 of the British F3 Series. Fantastic result. Second place goes to Canola. Johnson is 3rd. 4th, Grant Riddall. 5th, Cesarius Lipinski. Great result for him. It appears that Juha Boss is going to finish in 6th place. Fredrickson should finish in 7th. There he is. Ray Riddall is 8th. Brian Janik looks like he's just going to make it if he keeps going here. He's got, he does have Little Al closing on him, hand over fist, but Little Al's also coming under attack from David Saber. Saber taking a look. But
Gil Alondas crashed on the final lap.
Oh, jeez. Well, it looks like Brian's going to take 9th place. Little Al looks like he's just going to take the last points paying position. Yes, Little Al finishes in 10th to score a point. So nice recovery from those two, given what happened there. But again, really unfortunate for both Little Al and Brian Janik. It was one of those racing incident type things. David Saber's 11th. Peter Blum 12th. Hackman is going to finish 13th. Mikola 14th. Griffiths 15th. Lewis Stevens 16th. Chacon is 17th. And I believe out of the race anyway. Well, these may be in the garage because they cleared out already. Mick Chapman, Carol Martinez, and Matias Estrella. Gerard Rion, Gilles Lalonde, who, yes, has crashed on the final lap of the race. There's Jonatan coming through in 23rd place. 24th is Hansa Mild. 25th, Greg Delacella. 26th, Oyvind Anderson. 27th, Gerard Magnano. 28th, Mato Small. And 29th, Steve Parker. So that was round 3 and 4 of the British F3 Series, 1973. So if you're the other drivers that are not named David Yunt, Jonathan, I think you have to be scratching your head right now wondering what you're going to do to mount a challenge.
Certainly be a difficult one, but as some people may say, now the championship begins. If they have had a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I can recall thinking that in the kart series after a couple of races. But in any case, I need to depart rather quickly here. So let's take a look at the trivia question and see if our esteemed colleague Jonathan knows the answer. The second trivia question of this evening is, who scored the most points in the 1973 John Player F3 Championship without a win? Was it A, Ian Taylor, B, Mike Wilds, or C, Brian Henton?
That's a fantastic question. I go with B just because it's in the middle.
You're going to go with B? Sorry. Correct answer is Ian Taylor. He was 5th in the championship with 78 points, and the first driver in the points tally with no wins. To be fair, I don't know much about F3's history. The only reason I know these is because I looked them up. So thanks very much. Uh-huh. So, thanks everybody for
user joined your channel.
Tuning in and joining us. We will be seeing you coming up in future races. For Jonathan Acerclinth, this is Jason White saying so long from Oulton Park.